I wanted to learn a little bit of Likutey Moharan, Torah Resh Pebet, which is Torah 282, which is commonly known as Azamra, Azamra Elokai Bo'odi. This Torah discusses finding the good points in ourselves and finding the good points in other people. Rabbi Nachman says over here, Da, you should know, Ki tzarich ladun et kol adam lechaf zchut. You have to judge every person favorably. And that's loosely translated. But if we want to translate it literally, it's very interesting that the Chazal, this phrase actually comes from the Pirkei Avos, where Chazal tells us we have to judge everyone favorably. But if you look at the words and translate them literally, it actually says, Ki tzarich ladun, we have to judge, kol adam lechaf zchut. Every person needs to judge the other, lekaf. Kaf literally means a spoon, or in this case a bowl. Zchut. So what is it talking about? So we know that there's a certain concept of muznaim. Muznaim is a scale. It's a double-bowled scale. And in one side of the scale a person has his good deeds, and on the other side of the scale a person has his not-so-good deeds. And on the side of good deeds we call them zchuyot, or zchut. These are merits. And what's interesting here is that the Chazal tell us, our sages tell us, that we must judge a person to his side of zchut, to the kaf zchut. We loosely translate it, like I said before, as favorably, which by judging him to the kaf zchut, it is favorable. But what's interesting here, which we'll touch base on soon, is the terminology used, kaf zchut. We'll touch base on it in a few moments. We'll see what else he says over here. But filu mishu rasha, even somebody who's an evildoer, gamur, complete. You have to find in him some little bit of good. Because in that little bit of good that you can find in him, he's not a rasha, he's not an evildoer. And by finding that little good inside of him, and now you judged him to the kaf zchut, to the side of merits. So actually what you did at that moment is you actually brought him up to the kaf zchut. So we don't understand how powerful it is when we judge people. But another interesting point here is, the Chazal didn't tell us don't judge. You know, there's a common term, people say, hey, don't judge. But actually Chazal tells us to judge. And it's an important thing, if you're going to judge favorably. Because by judging someone favorably, as Rabbi Nachman just stated over here, what you're actually going to be doing is you're going to actually bringing that person up to kaf zchut, which means you're going to be giving him more merit, which tells us something else. We actually, as Yidden and as fellow brothers, we have the power to bring another person up and to actually judge them. What else does he say here? This is the most incredible thing, that actually by doing that, and by raising him up to kaf zchut, and judging him, as we say, favorably, or to the side of zchut, to the side of merits, you actually have the power to have him lachzor b'tshuva, to have him come back to Hashem. And this is an aspect of what it says in Tehillim and Psalms. And od me'at, one little bit more, ve'en rasha, and he won't be an evildoer anymore. He won't be a rasha. V'hitbananta al mekomo ve'enenu, and you will look on that point, ve'enenu, and no longer will he be a rasha. What is it saying? Hainu she'apasuk mazhir ladun et hakol lekaf zchut. This pasuk, this verse is telling us to judge everything to the side of merit. Even if you see that he's completely a rasha, completely an evildoer, you still have to try and find in him something good, one good point or anything. Because in that point, he's not a rasha, he's not an evildoer. And this that we said, and one little more, and one little bit, and he's not a rasha. You have to find that little bit of good that he has in himself. That in that place he's not a rasha, he's not an evildoer. So, just to summarize this idea of Azamra, And to close off on what Rabbi Nachman is saying over here, when we walk around, sometimes it's very easy to judge people, but we should know that when we're judging people, and we're not judging them favorably, we actually cause them to go farther from Hashem, and we build on the bad points of the person. But if we want to do tikkun olam and we want to bring Mashiach B'ezrat Hashem, that one of the best ways to do that is by bringing other people close to Hashem. By judging everybody favorably, we'll be bringing everyone close to Hashem. Because what in fact we'll be doing is that when we see that person doing something, or just seeing them at all, we'll be able to take them from a side of not so good and put them into the kaf zchut. What happens when a person has more zchuyot than they do bad deeds? Eventually, the side of zchuyot is going to be weighed down, and the person will lachzor b'tshuva, will come back to Hashem. So it's a very important point, as much as we possibly can, to always try to judge everybody favorably. And by doing so, B'ezrat Hashem, everybody will come back to Hashem, and B'ezrat Hashem will see Mashiach coming in our days. Thank you.